What is going on, folks? Hope everybody's doing well this 4th of July 2025. A lot of rain here in South Texas, folks. Let me just go ahead and jump in, guys, and get this one started, folks. This will be Deportations 9. Deportations Part 9. I'm not picking on anybody, folks. I just want to touch back on two groups. I should say two groups. Two folks that are on YouTube. One of them, Jesus is Lord. I think she's from Deportations 3. I believe it was Deportations 3. Deportations 2 or 3. Yeah, one of those two. And then the gentleman that I put out most recently, which was Deportations 8. Again, not picking on anybody in particular, but these two, and I thank them, have the courtesy to respond back and on the comments on their YouTube, as in I'm humbly doing my best to try to correct them. But I'm just astonished. That's why I put out this video. I'm just astonished right now at the responses. But at the same token, I shouldn't be astonished because these things have already been prophesied. Let's go. Let me go to the clip, folks, that we can see what I'm talking about. Remember, folks, also Acts 17:11, search the scriptures daily to see what I'm saying is true or what if they're saying is true. Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. You're not supposed to. Be as a noble Bereans, folks. Be of all eagerness of mind, ready to receive the word, folks, but not just assume the Apostle Paul knew what he was talking about. The Thessalonians were a little bit more lazy with that, where the Bereans were considered more noble, and the fact that they searched the scriptures to prove all things, to see if what Paul was saying was true. Let's go over real quick to YouTube, guys, and we're going to go ahead and start off with biblical immigration deportation from Jesus is Lord. Just to show you what I'm talking about, folks. I'll go over to the comments. That way you can see them a lot more easier here. Let's see. I believe it was this one right here, if I remember right. Let's see. Okay, it wasn't this guy. This is the next gentleman, but I believe it was right here. After her presentation, which again, flat out false doctrine, guys, I'm not afraid to say that. I opened up the dialogue by saying, you who desire to be under the law, do you not hear what the law says? Leviticus 19:33. The response from Jesus Lord is, under laws, Numbers 15:30, strangers and sojourners were required to obey the law of the land where they resided. Under grace, Romans 11:22, behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God, of them that fell, severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. Truth, God grafts in and he cuts off. We are to be humble ourselves, follow the law in the land we wish to reside. Again, notice where this is going to go. My response was, there is neither Jew nor Greek, bond or free. This means legal or illegal in the Messiah. These people worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, teaching instead as doctrines the commandments of men. Matthew 15:8-11. Why do you preach doctrines of men or the philosophy of men and not that of our Savior, Yahshua the Messiah? Colossians 2:8. The response actually was not the response. I also noted that the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousies, factions, divisions. How can we speak of fruits of the spirits, which she does in her video, when you preach doctrines of men and borders that separate people who are also sons of Elohim under the authority of all principality and powers, that is Yahshua the Messiah? And again, you see that in Colossians 2, beginning in verse 8. The response, which was, I believe right here, in any language or doctrine, God's commandments commands obedience to His word. He also divides and will divide in the judgment between those who are obedient and those who are not. That is God's law, whether we like it or not. Yeah, He does the dividing, but He does the dividing, but where do you fit in on the dividing? So my response: divisions and factions amongst His children are not God's law. They are the works of the flesh, which are manifest. If Yahweh chooses to divide, then let Him divide. But as far as man, we preach Yahshua the Messiah. And we're told by God to listen to Him. Matthew 17. So then let he who is without sin cast the first stone. So why do you judge your fellow believers if we are commanded to judge not? It's a simple question. We are commanded, pretty much, to judge not lest you be judged. The same measure you choose to judge, that measure will be judged to you. So the response: illegally crossing the border. Again, this is all Colossians 2, the rudiments of men. No spirituality, just the rudiments of men. Illegally crossing the border or another country has to do with the spiritual condition of your heart. Wow, that is offensive as can be. You think these people cross here because they have evil spiritual hearts? Are you kidding me? Ma'am, I think you live a little too good in America. You are wrong. Illegally crossing the border of another country has to do with the spiritual condition of your heart. It has to do with breaking the laws of another nation in pride and not obeying in humility. Wow. As followers of Christ, we still have to follow the laws of the nations where we reside or wish to enter. No talk of Messiah, but yet Jesus is your Lord. Even in the Old Testament, which Leviticus 19:33 says you're wrong, even in the Old Testament. There were territorial boundaries, and tribes, groups, and individuals were required to seek permission to cross another border. This is why Yahweh says, you shall not do the illegal resident that way, the Ger, because you yourself were a Ger in the land of Egypt. What are you talking about, ma'am? This has nothing to do with spiritual division. If it has nothing to do with spiritual division, but yet you judge with the spiritual, you judge incorrectly that they come here because of what? The spiritual condition of your heart. Well, what's greater? The gold or the temple that sanctified the gold? This has nothing to do with the spiritual division, but God will surely divide spiritually prideful sinner from the humbly righteous based upon how they treat the borders, how they treat their brothers and sisters. Yeah. He will also judge those who use His name in vain and His word to approach, or use His name in vain. Remember, it's Yahshua the Messiah. First of all, it's not Jesus Christ. To approach, see, this is why it's so hard to encroach upon others and bully others for personal gain. Thank you for watching the video, and I appreciate your honest dialogue. I appreciate your honest dialogue, even though it is profane babbling. Let me just jump in, folks, and say the spiritual condition of their heart. Maybe you're not aware, as of current right now, the Mexican peso is 18 pesos. 18 pesos for $1 US. The Honduran limpadas right now is 26 limpadas, 26 for $1 US. And the Venezuelan bolivar is 110 bolivar right now. 110 bolivar for $1 US. And you're telling me that they're doing this because of the spiritual condition of their heart? Ma'am, you sound like the three friends of Job. Ma'am, you are so wrong on every level. Wow. These people do worship you with their lips, but their hearts are far from them. Preaching and teaching the precepts of men as commandments rather than of Yahshua the Messiah. Wow, that's all I could say. At this point, Can't force people to see the light, folks. We're gonna expound on this big time in a minute. And then from the second gentleman, again, the one I'm talking about here, this gentleman here, he is from the most recent one of Deportations that I put out. The Bible don't condone this. Leviticus, they're lying about, remember, I'm not sure who they are, but I'm sure he's talking about liberals. They're lying about the biblical, they're lying about the Bible to defend illegal immigrants' rights. Leviticus 19:33 exposed, and which he was flat out wrong. That's again another teaching that another minister of deceit throughout there in one of my deportation series. Let's go over real quick, and I think this is the one where he, I've only corresponded with him. I told him, this is pretty much what I said. I'm sorry, my friend, but that is not what Leviticus 19:33 says. It does not say get your green card and papers on the other side of the wall. It says the foreigner inside those walls. Were the Hebrews full citizens of Egypt? No. That's why Yahweh is bringing up the comparison, because Yahweh knew today many will be deceived by the vain philosophy and rudiments of this world and not focus on his son's words, Yahshua Messiah, Colossians 2:8. The response? Yes, the whole argument here is simple. Obey the law of your country. The rudiments of this world is what Colossians 2 is saying. And those that you seek refuge in, even God has laws, so we should not go around it to get what we want out of life, because this is the outcome, simply to do it the right way. This sounds again like someone that is not unknown to the fact of what the current currency ratio is in a lot of these Central American countries, and is very naive or living a little too well in this country and just takes for granted rather adopting the world. We're going to expound on all this, folks, today. Right now, I'm sorry, this is just like, wow, the Christians, I mean, really, Christians, wow. Let's go ahead and start off, folks. Again, remember Acts 17:11, search the scriptures daily to see what I'm saying or what is true, folks. I encourage you to do that. Just don't take my word on these things. Let's go ahead and start off where to begin on this one, folks. First of all, yeah, let's just go ahead and start off. John 8. Let's go over to John 8. John chapter 8. Actually, let's go to Colossians 2. Let's go over to Colossians 2. Let's set the tone for that. Christians love to use this like Messianics, and they're right. Now I defend Christians on this because the Messianics did get that wrong. I was a Messianic for 20 years, folks. I'm not afraid to defend a Christian, even though I'm not a Christian or Messianic, but a member of the body. Colossians 2. We're going to start there. Colossians chapter 2. And where Paul's going to warn us about this kind of talk. Colossians 2. By the way, folks, there's nearly 10 million believers in the Messiah that are here illegally. They're saying roughly about 10 million people that are believers in the Messiah, brethren, like we are. And that's what the subject matter is we're talking about here. Colossians 2. Now, I've already done the crime situation, at least in Texas, folks. Nope. In fact, it's a flat-out lie. It's a flat-out lie, okay? So this is all by the hand of Yahweh. Yahweh gets all glory and honor and acknowledgement on that, folks, because he's going to crush this lie. Is ridiculous, folks. I mean, Satan is a roaring lion out there dividing, seeking whom he may devour, folks, and he's doing it right now. Colossians 2:8. Take heed lest there shall be anyone that makes spoil of you. Boy, and all I see is nothing but spoilness coming out right now from both of these people. That makes spoil of you. Okay? Through his philosophy and vain deceit. After the traditions of men. After the rudiments of this world. And not after the Messiah. Texas has 6 flags. We were under Spanish control, French control, Mexican control, Confederate control, Texas control, we're a republic ourselves, and American control. Yahweh changes not. You think Yahweh really cares whether you are a Confederate Christian, or a French Christian, or a Spanish believer in the Messiah, or a Mexican believer in the Messiah, or a U.S. citizen believer in the Messiah? Really? Think about, that's the rudiments of this world. That's thinking in the flesh. Forget spirituality. This lady has no business talking about the spiritual, what's in their hearts. Ma'am, go live on that side of the border and let's see what your spiritual condition is to your heart, ma'am. You're out of your mind. I'm sorry, excuse my passion. Wow. For in him dwells in the fullness of the majesty on high bodily. And in him you are made full, who is the head of all principality and power, Yahshua the Messiah. But instead, all that's coming out is the laws of this world. I hear Donald Trump, the laws of this world. He's trying to change them right now. Okay? Being born in this country, which is constitutional. He's already trying to overthrow that. And yet you people say nothing. Yet you people say nothing. Now, are you speaking the words of the Messiah or the vain philosophy and rudiments of this world? Well, clearly the vain philosophy and rudiments of this world. That's all I hear from them. I'm throwing you Yahshua the Messiah, yet Jesus is your Lord. No, he's not. No, he's not. Sorry to tell you. No, he's not. Now, let's go over to John 8. John 8, the law. Again, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. I mean, ask yourself, the gentleman, after what I'm showing you, yes, the whole argument here is simple. Obey the law of your country, and those that you seek refuge in, even God has laws. Remember, the whole point is to obey the law. Okay? Obey the law. The young lady, in any language or doctrine, God commands obedience to his word, which Leviticus 19:33 saying, yeah, well, why aren't you obeying it? He also divides and will divide in the judgment between those who are obedient and those who are not. Yeah. So why are you trying to do what? In other words, so what are you doing? That is God's law, whether we like it or not. Illegally crossing the border of another country. Illegally crossing the border. You do know 300 years ago that was not even the border. Yet the authority of the Messiah was in full effect. Think about what you're saying. Illegally crossing the border of another country has to do with the spiritual condition of your heart. What a flat out lie. No, it has to deal with the condition of the peso, the bolivar. Are you kidding me? Let's go over to John 8. John chapter 8. And keep in mind Colossians 2. Keep in mind Colossians chapter 2, what we just read. Colossians 2. Over in John 8. John chapter 8. John chapter 8, beginning in verse 2. John 8:2. And early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and the Pharisees bring a woman taken in adultery. Taken in adultery, yeah, flat out busted. And having set her in the middle, they say to him, Teacher, this woman has been taken in adultery, in the very act. In the very act. A lot of ministers get this wrong, but yeah, in the very act, she's guilty of it. A lot of them will say, well, the law says you got to bring the man to what. Yahshua would have brought that up, but he doesn't bring that up. In other words, she's guilty. Now, they may not have brought the guy in with her. Okay, yeah, but the fact is she's guilty. Okay, that's not even Yahshua's point. Now, in the law, Moses commands us, which it does, to stone her. To stone, it does. Yeah, you got to obey the laws. You have to obey the laws. Her heart, well, where's the condition of her? What's the condition of her? Why is she sleeping with another man? Does that still do with the Israeli shekel? Like the Mexican peso? No. Nope. And this they said, trying him, that they might have something to accuse him. That's what y'all sound like, just accusers of the brethren. Accuse him. But he wrote on the ground. But when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said to them, he that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone. And again he stooped down, and with his finger wrote on the ground. And they, when they heard it, went out one by one. That's preaching the Messiah. Not the rudiments of this world, not the vain philosophy of men, of Donald Trump. No. That's what Paul's talking about in Colossians 2. Yet you who judge, ma'am, I'm sorry, Jesus is not your Lord. Jesus is not your Lord. Donald Trump's your Lord. Flat out. Because by that same measure you chose to judge, right back at you. What are y'all doing? Picking up those stones. Because you live comfortably here in America, right? The law says in Leviticus 19:33, it flat out says, let's go over to the Levitical priesthood. Let's go over to the Torah, the law. We'll go Old Testament too. That's why that one gentleman got corrected in the Deportations 8. Excuse me, that is not what that word means. That is not what that word means. On the contrary, Yahweh's even saying, because you yourselves were foreigners in the land of Egypt, sojourners in the land of Egypt. Let's go over to Leviticus 19:33. Leviticus 19:33. And if a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong, deporting. Yeah. The stranger that sojourns with you shall be to you as the homeborn among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. They were never full citizens. They were never full citizens of the nation of Egypt. Go look at Exodus 1. It's going to clearly show you that. Deuteronomy 24. Deuteronomy 24:14. Deuteronomy 24:14. The mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. If you're going to talk about walls that Israel is building, within around Israel is around Jerusalem. Well, let's bring, how does this work? What's greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? Deuteronomy 24:14. You shall not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he is of your brethren or of your sojourners that are in your land within your gates. In his day you shall give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor and sets his. Didn't you just see the ratio of their currencies to ours? Really? We took ourselves off the gold standard and bullied pretty much the world off of the petrodollar. You really think Yahweh's like, yes, way to go, America? You're out of your mind. Lest he cries against you to Yahweh, and it is sin to you. And I think that time has come. Matthew 12. Let's go over to Matthew 12. You think Yahshua Messiah knows who his biological mother is? You think he knows that Jacob is his half-brother? Judah is his half-brother biologically? Yeah, of course he does. He knows those things. He's well aware of that. Matthew 12. Much less who's a U.S. citizen and who's not a U.S. citizen. Yeah, of course. Matthew 12, 46 through 50. Do you know who your mother is? Do you know who your biological brother is? Matthew 12. Then this is coming from the Messiah. Not Donald Trump. Not the Republican Party. Not Oprah Winfrey. Coming from Yahshua Messiah. Matthew 12. Matthew chapter 12, beginning in verse 46. Matthew 12, 46. While he was yet speaking to the multitudes, behold, his mother and his brethren, his biological brothers, stood outside, seeking to speak to him. And one said to him, behold, your mother and your brethren stand outside, seeking to speak to you. But he answered and said to him, and told him, who is my mother? And who are my brethren? Who is a U.S. citizen? Who is not a U.S. citizen? Listen to yourself. Listen to yourselves. He's talking about his biological mother and his biological brothers. And he stretched forth his hands towards his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. He's talking about biological kin. You're talking about borders that have only existed, what, 200 years? Huh? Yet you, ma'am, talk about the spiritual condition of their heart? Really? The rudiments of this world, vain philosophy, nothing but deceit, doctrines of demons coming right out of your mouth. Hebrews 4:12. Hebrews 4:12. As I'm hearing that, I'm just astonished. Hebrews 4:12. What is going on here? What am I dealing with? What am I hearing? It has to do with laws. Hebrews 4:12. Laws of men. That's what you hang your hat on. But yet Jesus is God's Lord. Are you kidding me? Hebrews 4:12. Then he brought up his name. His name is Yahshua Messiah. It's not Jesus. What are you talking about? Hebrews 4:12. That's another subject, but no. Hebrews 4:12. You open up your Bible, you see Yahshua the general. Your Old Testament Bible. How come the Old Testament says Joshua and the New Testament says Jesus? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. That's using his name in vain. That's your pride kicking in. They both have the same exact name. And yet your pride doesn't want to correct the error. So who are you talking about? Who are you to take that speck out of your eye, man, before you go taking the speck out of somebody trying to survive? Hebrews 4:12. For the word of Yahweh is living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword, and piercing even to the dividing of soul and spirit, of both joints and marrow, and quick to discern the thoughts and intents of the heart. Let's go over to, take a look at a couple of other passages, guys. Let's go over to Proverbs 21:13. Proverbs 21:13. They come over here because there's something wrong with them spiritually. Are you out of your mind? That is just naive. These bad people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, or there's something wrong with you, lady. There's something wrong with you. Proverbs 21:13. Proverbs 21:13. Whoever stops his ears at the cry of the poor, like you, lady, he also shall cry, but shall not be heard. Proverbs 20:22. Proverbs 20:22. Say not, I will recompense evil. They're going to keep the law. We got to do something about it. We got to deport them. Yeah. Say not, I will recompense evil. We got to deport them. So what do y'all do? We're going to recompense evil. America, we're going to trump evil. We are going to recompense evil. Say not, I will recompense evil. Wait for Yahweh, and he will save you from the dreaded illegal Mexican, the dreaded illegal Guatemalan, the dreaded illegal Hispanic. Yeah, he'll save you from them. Wow. Diverse weights. How ironic. How ironic. Diverse weights are an abomination to Yahweh, and a false balance is not good. 18 pesos for $1. 110 bolivar. 110 bolivar in Venezuela for $1 US. In Honduras, 26 lempiras, 26 for $1 US. How ironic. Yet you want to recompense immigration laws. You cursed yourself, people. You cursed yourself, and it's coming. Matthew 14. These people honor me with their lips, but your hearts are far from them. Preaching the doctrines of Donald Trump rather than of Yahshua the Messiah. What is wrong with you people? Matthew 14. Matthew 14, beginning in verse 13. Matthew 14:13. Now when Yahshua heard it, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desert place apart. And when the multitudes heard of it, they followed him on foot from the cities. And he came forth and saw a great multitude, and he had compassion on them, and healed their sick. He had compassion on them and healed their sick. And evening having come, the disciples came to him, saying, This place is a desert place. There's too many of them. Gotta deport them. Too many of them. How are we gonna feed them? This place is a desert place, and the time has already passed. Send them all through the way. Deport them. Get them out of here. That they may go into the villages, and buy themselves food. But Yahshua said to them, They have no need to go away. Give you them to eat. And they say to him, We have but 5 loaves and 2 fish. And he said, Bring them here to me. And he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples to the multitudes. And they all ate and were filled. And they took up that which remained over of the broken pieces, 12 baskets full. They still had left over. That's putting your mouth, that's putting your actions where your mouth is. We're justified by what? The law of Trump, or the faith of Yahshua the Messiah? How does this work? Colossians 2. How does this work? Let's go over to Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5, beginning of verse 6. Ephesians 5:6. Over in Ephesians, Ephesians 5, verse 6. Let no man deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of Yahweh comes upon the sons of disobedience. Be not therefore partakers with them. For you were once darkness, but are now light in Yahweh. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the light is in all goodness and righteousness and truth. Seriously, lady. Seriously. Proving what is well pleasing to Yahweh, and having no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather even reprove them. That's what I'm doing, reproving you. For the things which are done by them in secret, it is a shame even to speak of. It is. But all things, when they are reproved, are made manifest by the light. For everything that is made manifest is light. Therefore he says, Awake, you that sleep, wake up and arise from the dead, and the Messiah shall shine upon you. Look therefore carefully how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Therefore be not foolish, but understand what the will of Yahweh is. And be not drunken with wine, in which is riot, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking one to another in psalms, anthems, and spiritual songs, singing and making melody with your heart to Yahweh rather than pointing finger out who there's a guy right there that report them. What are you doing? Philippians 2. Let's go over to Philippians 2. Philippians 2, beginning of verse 1. Philippians 2, 1. If there is therefore any exhortation of the Messiah, if any consolation of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any fellowship of the Spirit, you have the audacity, lady, to even say those people are coming over here. What? Because there's something wrong with their hearts and their spirits. Those people, didn't you just hear what I just said? 110 bolivars to $1. 18 pesos to $1. You go try living those conditions. Yeah, really. Jesus is your Lord? No, Donald Trump is your Lord. If any consolation of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any tender mercies and compassions, make full my joy that you be of the same mind. I don't see the same mind here, but factions. Having the same love, being of one accord. Well, no, see, you got to go on that side of the border, or we got to come on this side of the border. Yeah, really? You call yourself a Christian? Doing nothing through faction. Deportations. Let me show you. 10 million believers in the Messiah. Doing nothing through faction. Oh, well, we got to obey the law. No, we must obey Yahweh, our Elohim. Not man. Not looking each of you to his own things, which is what you people are doing. Looking to your own things, our own resources. It's an embarrassment. Not looking each of you to his own things, but each of you also to the things of others. Having this mind in you, which was also in the Messiah Yahshua, who existing in the form of Elohim, counted not the being of an equality with Yahweh as a thing to be grasped. Yeah, I'm talking about the Messiah. But emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, being made in the likeness of men. Well, but he wasn't a U.S. citizen. Really? Listen to what you're talking about. But emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, being made in the likeness of men, and being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself, becoming obedient even to death, yes, the death of the torture stake. Therefore also Yahweh highly exalted him and gave to him the name which is above every name, even above Donald J. Trump. Surprise. That in the name of Yahshua every knee should bow, including your U.S. Constitution and Donald J. Trump, if he's capable. And in the name of Yahshua, every knee should bow, of things in heaven and things on earth and under earth. And that includes you, America. And that every tongue should confess that Yahshua the Messiah is Master, to the glory of Yahweh the Father. What is this lady? What does this lady say over here? Every tongue. In any tongue, in any language or doctrine, Well, ma'am, I got news for you. Excuse me. As you just read right now, every tongue should confess that Yahshua the Messiah is the Master. What are you talking about? Immigration laws? Go over Colossians 2. This is why we were warned against people like you. Philippians 3, over in Philippians 3, just same page here, Philippians 3, verse 7. However, what things were gained to me, Paul is saying, however, what things were gained to me, U.S. citizenship, these have I counted as a loss for the Messiah. Yes, truly, and I count all things to be lost for the excellency and the knowledge of the Messiah, Yahshua, not the U.S. Constitution. There's neither Jew nor Greek, bond nor free. Go over Galatians 3, you can see that easily. Illegal, my sovereign, for whom I suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may gain the Messiah, and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own, because I'm an American citizen, even that which is of the law, even that which is of the law. What are you talking about? What planet are you from? But that which is through faith, not U.S. Constitution, faith in the Messiah, the righteousness which is from Yahweh by faith, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. Jesus is your Lord? Huh? What are you talking about? In 2 Corinthians 5, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, beginning in verse 16, 2 Corinthians 5:16. Therefore we from here on know no man after the flesh. Even though we have known the Messiah after the flesh, yet now we know him so no more. Therefore, if any man is in the Messiah, he is a new creature. The old things are passed away. Behold, they have become new. But all things are of Yahweh, who reconciled us to himself through the Messiah and gave to us the ministry of reconciliation. Namely, that Yahweh was in the Messiah reconciling the world to himself, not reckoning to them their trespasses. Oh, because he's an illegal immigrant, he came here we got to reckon to him his trespasses? No. That is not what Yahshua Messiah is doing right now, but yet you are. Now go to Colossians 2. This is why the scriptures do not speak in vain. What are you doing? You really think that's what Yahshua's doing right now, sitting on the right hand of Yahweh right now, reconciling to see, he's crossing legal there. He's really hungry. Yeah, you really think that's what the Messiah's all about? Sorry, I've got news for you. You're wrong. First Corinthians 11:18. You know, I'm not going to get into a different subject. I keep Passover. I know there's Catholics, Christians, but we still partake of the communion. Understand, folks, with us, it's the memorial emblems that we do once a year. Over in 1 Corinthians 11, but yet we do these things as believers in the Messiah. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 18. 1 Corinthians 11:18. For first of all, when you come together in the assembly, I hear that divisions exist among you, and I partly believe it. For there must also be factions amongst you, that they that are approved may be made manifest among you. Are there factions amongst us? Yeah. I'm looking at it right now on YouTube. I'm dealing with it on YouTube consistently. People that profess themselves to be, and they're not. They're not. They're nothing but wolves in sheep's clothing. It's ridiculous. 1 Corinthians 10:14. 1 Corinthians 10, same page, 14. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. The worshiping of Donald Trump. Flee in politics. Whether you're liberal left or MAGA right. Flee from idolatry. That's what's messed up so many of y'all. I speak as to wise men. Judge what I say. The cup of blessing which we bless, is it not the communion of the blood of the Messiah? The bread which we break, is it not a communion of the body of the Messiah? Seeing we that are many, legal or illegal, bond or free, Jew or Greek, do you understand what that means? Are one bread. We all partake of that one bread, because we are that one bread and that one body. For we all partake of the one bread. Jew or Greek, bond or free. What are you talking about? First Corinthians 12:12. Now in there, 1 Corinthians 12:12. $10 million believers in the Messiah, because they're not American, you're going to deport them? And you call yourself a Christian? Go ahead, tell your foot, I don't need you. Tell your right eye, I have no need of you, because you're not the ear. Go ahead. 1 Corinthians 12:12. Actually, I'll have one more passage after this, yeah. 1 Corinthians 12:12. For as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, being many, are one body. Yeah. And there are many nations, many people. Yeah. Black, white, Hispanic, it don't matter. Yellow, red skin, doesn't matter. For in one spirit we are also baptized into one body, whether Jew or Greek, whether bond or free, whether American or not American. And we're all made to drink of one spirit. For the body is not one member. It's not one country. Really, lady, really, what's in your heart spiritually? Jesus is not your Lord. I've got news for you. If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, it is not therefore not of the body. And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it not therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, or the whole body was an American, where would the hearing come from? If the whole were the hearing, then where would the smelling come from? But now has Yahweh set the members, each one of them in the body, even as it pleased him. And then I'll end on 1 Corinthians 2:6. 1 Corinthians 2:6. Do you understand these things? Or are you just as of the world? Do you understand the wisdom that we speak? 1 Corinthians 2:6. We speak wisdom, however, among them that are full grown. Are you full grown? Yet a wisdom, not of this world, nor the rulers of this world, who are coming to nothing. But we speak Yahweh, and same thing with its borders. But we speak Yahweh's wisdom in a mystery, even the wisdom that has been hidden, which Yahweh foreordained before the worlds to our glory. Are borders hidden? Which none of the rulers of this world have known, including Donald Trump. Nope, he don't know it. For had they known it, they would not have impaled the sovereign of glory, and you wouldn't be saying the things that you're saying. But as it is written, things that eye saw not and ear heard not, which entered not in the heart of man, whatever things Yahweh prepared for them that love him. But to us Yahweh revealed them through the Spirit, for the Spirit searches all things, ma'am. All things, not just the ones that are American. All things. For who among men knows the things of a man, except the spirit of the man which is in him? Even so, none know the things of Yahweh, except the Spirit of Yahweh. But we receive not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is from Yahweh, that we might know the things that were freely given to us of Yahweh, which things also we speak, not in words which man's wisdom teaches, borders, immigration laws, no, but which the Spirit teaches, combining spiritual things with spiritual words, ma'am. I love you. Get it together. Yahweh bless you. We'll talk again real soon, folks. Deportations number 9. Deportations are flat out wrong. These doctrines of demons, they're going to get shut down by the word of Yahweh, folks. Just doing my job, all by way of 2 Corinthians 10. Look that up, folks. Yahweh bless you. We'll talk again real soon. Again, this is Deportations number 9.